poppin', y'all? It is your boy Guard E3, and welcome to Coffee and Sports, the morning show. And of course, joining us just like every morning, he is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
Doing great. Wonderful Thursday. Getting ready to get into it, talking sports. Welcome, chat. Welcome, everybody else joining us this morning. Let's get into it.
No, absolutely. And I figure we start off with a little bit of fun, Mo. CBS Sports, they released their this century's all NBA teams. Morning, Key. How's it going?
Good morning, Key.
And I figured we'd have a little fun. We can start off taking a look at that and seeing if we agree with it.
I'm here for it.
So, CBS says this century's all quarter century's third team is Steve Nash, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Dirk, and Dwight Howard. You know what? I can't really argue with any names on the third team. We got the second team being KD, Wade, Chris Paul, Giannis, and Shaq. And the first team being Jokic, Kobe, Steph, LeBron, and Tim Duncan. One quick glance, Mo. What do you think of what CBS put out there?
Look, I think overall, I think CBS got it right. If I were going to nitpick, I don't know that I would have Joker ahead of Shaq just yet. You're because you are talking about they're saying over the 21st century, Shaquille O'Neal's impact on the NBA, even versus what Joker's done to this point, is more impactful. And while again, this is the argument we'll have with a lot of different players. You're talking about how honed and skilled and polished Joker is and what he's done versus the sheer physical dominance of Shaq and what he did. Joker is certainly more skilled and more polished, but he's not a more dominant player than Shaq. The same way you could say Anthony Davis is more skilled and more polished than Giannis, but he's not a better player than Giannis. And so I think on impact right now today, Shaquille O'Neal should be on the first team. That's the only major change I would make. I like that they show respect and they've got Timmy on there, and you've got to acknowledge what Steph did, and of course LeBron. And I'm good with it. I'm totally good with it. I'm just talking about one slight change.
I think no, that's fair enough. I think maybe if I'm following CBS's logic with Shaq, is probably since they're just doing 21st century, you do get three-peated, in Lakers Shaq, but you also cut out like a lot of the best, versions of Shaq that happened in the 90s. So you get like the 4 years of dominant Shaq, and then we start getting into like Miami, Phoenix Shaq. So you know what?
No, I get that. I get that. Yeah. I get their thinking, but all I'm saying is, even if you cut out everything he did at Orlando, just that small section that you're talking about, we're talking about a guy that three-peated. That's 3 Finals MVPs. That's 3 championships. I'm not even factoring in Miami Heat Shaq, who, by the way, wasn't the best player, but did win a title. That would be 4 titles. On the flip side, Joker's got, 3 MVPs? He's got a Finals MVP, and he's got a title. The only thing that Joker has over Shaq, if you're factoring in, his career to this point, is statistically he fills a lot more stat lines more than Shaq does, but he's not more dominant. He's dominant in a different way, but Shaq was more dominant.
No, absolutely. Fair enough. I'll say it. Personally, my first thought was when I learned about the existence of this list, I thought Shaq would be first team, so I was kind of shocked to see him on the second team. I think really the only name that feels weird not seeing on this list to me is KG, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Um, because to me, and I think we've had this conversation, even though they're different players, we kind of lump Kevin Garnett and Dirk very close together, right? Um, they're like two sides to a coin in some ways. And I feel like if Dirk is going to be in the top three, then KG should be too. I think people forget just how great a player he was. They saw Boston get KG, and he was great, but they didn't see Kevin Garnett at his peak when he carried a Minnesota team to a conference championship multiple times. I just think people forget how good he was in his prime.
Yeah, and personally, I would put him over. I'd put him over Kawhi Leonard. I like Kawhi, but I think Kawhi's a little like too banged up throughout his career for me to have him over KG. What he did, in 2019 in Toronto was great, and he's a fun player when fully healthy. But I don't know if that's enough for me. I know what he did, but I also know what KG did, and I'm not sure if I'd have Kawhi over KG on this list.
Yeah, Kawhi is interesting because most NBA fans would go, of course, Kawhi Leonard is one of the top players, and I don't argue that. But you always have to preface that statement with when healthy, and so I think that while there's no disagreement on how great a player he has a really small compared to the other guys on the list. His body of work is a lot smaller. That's the best way I can put it.
Imagine if that shot didn't fall in Toronto. Yeah, say it's the 76ers beat the Raptors. That would have changed a lot with Kawhi because he still would have bolted to LA and we would have gotten what we got. So maybe the most important moment of Kawhi Leonard's career is that shot going down in Toronto.
But that's the beauty of sports. That's the beauty of sports. Like the idea of had he not made that shot in Toronto. Well, that's facts. But that's also that goes to sports, right? If Chris Bosh doesn't tip the ball to Ray Allen and he doesn't make that shot, the Spurs win that title, right? They win that series. So that is the beauty of sports.
No, that's fair. Hey, you know what? I hate that he hit it too. Believe me, I really would have liked the Bucks' chances against the 76ers. So still haunts me. Fair enough. Say 2019 Bucks versus the 2019, 76ers. I would have put money on Milwaukee. I think we could have taken them.
Um, that would have been a fun series to watch because obviously that was before Ben Simmons' brain broke, along with his body. And so I think it would have been a lot of very interesting cross matchups had that series actually happened. I would have given the Bucks a slight edge, but I think it would have been a great series.
I think the biggest thing that like always like makes me comfortable, well, made me comfortable in those early matchups against Philly is Joel always seemed to struggle against Brooke Lopez, and I always took solace in the fact that, hey, listen, at least I know we can probably slow down Joel this game, and if we do that, then we have a chance.
Yeah, I think to Brooke Lopez's credit, because he's actually a little bit longer than Joel Embiid, what Brooke Lopez didn't do is he didn't go for any of the pump fakes or the head fakes. Like Brooke always kept his feet because he knew no matter what that he was actually longer than Joel Embiid, that he knew Embiid couldn't just turn and shoot over him. So I just thought that showed you how sound a player Brooke Lopez became as a defender, which is weird because Brooke Lopez initially in his career was only known as an offensive player. Like he developed into a defender. He developed into a 3-point shooter. Um, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. Yeah, you're right. He was one of those guys like Al Horford for some reason that gave Joel Embiid a lot more trouble than they should have.
It's those vets that really don't bite on pump fakes that can handle the physicality that really seem to throw them off. It really felt like early in his career, it was the big three of Brooke, Horford, and Marc Gasol that just were an absolute nightmare anytime he faced that, trio.
Yeah,
I always find it funny when people pump fake Brooke like, dog, he's not jumping. Like, just go
right.
past him. Like, he's not going anywhere.
It's funny because Embiid is so talented, so freaking talented that I would have liked to seen him just go on a good 6 or 7 year run of having good health, just to see what he could have been. I'm just talking about him. I'm not even talking about team success, but what he would have been considered as an individual talent had he been able to stay healthy over a long period of time.
It's really unfortunate that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. We saw obviously we saw kind of in his MVP year what he could have been if he stayed healthy. Like, he had like a month in December that year where he had like average like 40 a game in December on like 50, 40, 90 shooting. It was maybe the most absurd thing I've ever seen from somebody the size of Joel Embiid. Like, that's it's really when I was watching that, I'm like, all right, here we go. Him and say this guy really might be it's going to be the best center in the league conversation for like ever now. And then his knees just kind of fell apart after that.
When he's right, when he's healthy, he makes you question whether Joker's better than him or not, because I've seen them play head to head, and more times than not, he's gotten a better Joker because he goes into those games with the right mentality. He goes into those games going, let's establish right away what can't happen. He can't guard me whatsoever. And the best the Joker can hope for is to play him even, because Embiid, when he's right, is actually a very good defender. And I don't mean like okay, I mean like an all NBA caliber big man defender. And like talent wise, he's as talented as Joker is. I would say where they separate is, I think Joker's knowledge of the game, I think Joker has a higher basketball IQ. But put them on the floor head to head, I can't say Joker's out now better than him. He's been better than him because he's been more healthy, but head to head, there's no separation.
It's one of those things that head to head, Embiid's a really bad matchup for Joker. Just he's able to exploit his lack of rim protection inside and make him uncomfortable by dragging him all the way to the 3-point line as well. It's one of those things where it's just the perfect matchup for Embiid.
That's a great point. Joker's not used to having to guard a center 20 plus feet away from the basket. Now, like normally, that's the problem that teams face when they have to guard him. And he's not used to that because there's not a lot of bigs in the league, let alone in the Western Conference, who can play that far away from the basket.
No, that's fair enough. Also, speaking of Shaq being on that list, do you see that Shaq's gonna present for Dwight at the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I find that kind of weird because I was like, I thought he didn't like Dwight. He spent more than the last decade hammering Dwight. Now he's going to help induct him into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. I'm glad to see that they made up. At the end of the day, they're both Orlando Magic legend, and they there really was no reason for them to beef in the first place. But they did. But I'm glad to see that they made up, and hey, maybe it goes to show that maybe Shaq grudges are just not forever.
No, I don't think his grudges are forever because Shaq, the one thing that he's very savvy about, that he's very smart about, is social media. And Shaq is well aware of where the winds are blowing and which way to go. It's why long before Kobe passed, Shaq went out of his way to make amends with Kobe, because hating on Kobe was getting Shaq killed on social media. And he realized that a long time ago. And I think even now, I don't think he necessarily suddenly likes Dwight Howard, but I think that he realizes criticizing him even more, especially after Dwight has been elected to the Hall of Fame, it just makes Shaq look small and petty.
No, absolutely. It really made him feel, petty just during like that, the 2010s in his, when he first became like a commentator after retiring, and he was just crapping on Dwight every chance he got. Just like I said, I'm glad to see that they made up. But you know what? Maybe the avenue for him and for him to not hate Rudy Gobert is out there. Granted, that one feels a little far fetched.
You know what? I kind of like that because you and I have had this conversation, and NBA fans out there who are fans of the game, they need to wrap their minds around this. Look, when Rudy Gobert retires, 5 years after he retires, he's going into the Hall of Fame. And that shouldn't come as a shock, but he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. And I'm wondering if Shaquille O'Neal is going to open up his arms and do the same thing he did for Rudy that he did for Dwight. I think that would be great, and I hope he does.
I hope so too. I really hope so too. You're switching over to the NFL, Mo. Your team made a trade. Team got Sky Moore from the Kansas City Chiefs. And you know what? I'm going to say, I think this was a smart move by them, mainly also because the wide receivers just seem to be dropping like flies one way or another. So they desperately needed depth, and they went out and got it. So I don't think this is the biggest move of it ever, but I like this as a depth move.
I like it as a depth move. And look, Sky Moore is still a young player with a lot of potential. We're always talking about how terrific an offensive mind Shanahan is. Maybe if he can coach him up to just be a good situational football player, then it's a great move.
Say Draymond will induct Rudy. Yeah, that'll be the day.
Draymond, yeah. I'm gonna say no. Even if he asks to, my guess is Rudy would be like, "Nah, I'm good. No thanks."
And absolutely. If I was Rudy and he asked, I'd do the same thing. Like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. Somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen. Like he'll probably get like a vet or somebody like that. Maybe even a family member to induct him in. But Draymond, that's funny. I actually would like to see when Draymond retires, who's going to induct him in. Because initially I would go, well, he'll probably have Steph do it. They've been teammates for a long time, but I don't know. He might have somebody else in mind. Draymond's kind of a wild card. He'd probably have somebody like Dennis Rodman in mind, which would be a horrible mistake, by the way. A horrible, because that lead up speech would be the longest speech ever.
He'll put one out of left field and be like, yeah, Jordan Poole's inducting me, and we'll just be like, huh?
That would be comical. I would enjoy that. I like that idea.
Hey, I would enjoy it too. So yeah, no, it's a good thing too, because another one of your wide receivers, Demarcus Robinson's going to be missing the first 3 games now.
Yeah,
he got suspended. It's like Jennings is banged up. Like, it'll be interesting to see how the 49ers just navigate this rash of injuries and suspensions to start the year.
And I feel like they have to navigate it in a way where Shanahan will almost have to water down the playbook early in the season. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of these guys we're bringing in, they've had no time, so timing is going to be an issue. Recognizing the play calls, when players are all the different signals and the nuances of the offense. We desperately need receiving bodies, but just to put bodies in there that don't know or haven't developed any chemistry with Brock Purdy, it's going to be a challenge. I thought offensively they were going to be challenged anyway. Now even more so because they're so thin at wide receiver, they're really going to have to be at the top of their game in terms of run blocking because they're going to try to rely on their run game and George Kittle more than anything early in the year.
Yeah. If another receiver drops, Mo, you might be the next one getting a call from a San Francisco area code.
No, I'm good.
Say, get ready. You're lining up at wideout week 1.
I'll be that guy that lines up, but I'll be spotless at the end of the game.
49ers should be making trades to get Terry and Robinson Jr.
If you're talking about Terry McLaurin, I get that, but my guess is even if the Commanders are interested in moving him, I think the price is going to be probably higher than what the 49ers want to pay. Not to mention, they just paid Ayuk, and one of the reasons why they got rid of Debo is because they were cutting salary. If they traded for Scary Terry, he'd get there and there'd be a week-long honeymoon period, and then he'd be like, where's that extension? You know what I mean? It'd be the same problem all over again.
No, absolutely. What's up, Trell?
Nah, we're good, Kyle. We're straight. We're good.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm going to wait for the Commanders to cut him, and then we'll get him back.
I'm sure it'll happen next year. You can get him back for like the vetman at that point.
That's where my mind is at exactly.
I'm still curious to see where, say, Hendrickson and Terry McLaurin are just the funnest names to see what happens with them. The fact that Hendrickson doesn't have a new contract is mind-blowing still.
And there seems to be no movement there, which is shocking. The season is literally right around the corner, and Bengals management is like, we're not in a rush.
And the worst part is they have like $30 million in salary cap space for this year. Like, you can literally just get a deal done. And I don't even think, like, people are talking about, like, well, he's asking for like $30 million into his like age 33 and 34 seasons. I don't think he's really looking for that. I think he just wants pretty much his big money this year and next year, and maybe some guarantees going into his age 32 season.
I think that's exactly what he's looking for.
Right. I don't think he expects them to, give him $35 million a year, or whatever, at age 33, or even 32. But if you even guarantee like, maybe 20 mil for him or that year, somewhere in that ballpark, I'm sure he's okay with it, or even like 15. So it feels weird because it feels like the avenue to get this done is like right there. But the Bengals are like, nah, we're good.
That's so Cincy though, right? That owner, that management, the way they've done things over the years, that's them. And by the way, yeah, Cottrell, you're right. If the Niners season hinders on C-Mac staying healthy for the bulk of the year, yeah, I think we're in trouble. I agree.
Say I wouldn't pay Hendrickson either, but they should have traded him away before it got to this point. Yeah, it felt like this choice should have just been made early in the preseason or offseason. Just either pay him or trade him. And clearly they don't want to pay him. So, because now just the price is just dropping, right? Like, it went from you could have gotten a pretty decent, haul at the beginning of the offseason to now everybody just kind of might wait it out because who knows what happens next. But, you can probably get him closer to the trade deadline at this point, or even right now for, really not that much.
And that's my problem with Bengals management. If you're not going to pay him, then make some kind of move that benefits your franchise. Even if you don't get a better player in return, which you won't, maybe you get some assets that help you down the road.
Right, you can easily flip them to get assets to help you right now.
Anything but standing pat is my problem. They're not doing anything. That way of I guess, dealing with people, that way of maneuvering and negotiating, that's terrible. It's the same stupid thing that Dallas is doing with Micah Parsons. That's just stupid.
Yeah, it's funny because it feels like Micah Parsons is going to be the one to just end up staying. I feel like they're going to figure it out. But I also feel that way because I feel like the Cowboys are just going to ask way too high of a price for anybody to really want to trade for Micah Parsons. So I feel like they're gonna end up figuring that out. I think Jerry will cave and pay him.
It's personal for Jerry though. You know that, right? Like the way Jerry looks at it is Micah Parsons is ungrateful. You know what I mean? Like it's personal for Jerry. Like he won't say it out loud, but I think Jerry would have no problem trading Micah Parsons. I think Jerry's stubbornness is going to hurt this whole situation because he feels like Micah Parsons, the way he's been speaking out, which I have no problem with that, is it's disrespectful. But if you're Micah Parsons, you're not even willing to talk to my agent. You're not willing to sit down with my agent, the guy that represents me, and have a conversation. It's not just Micah Parsons doing everything through the media. It's Jerry Jones. When we talk about guys being grown-ass man, Jerry Jones is like, what is he, 80? He's a grown-ass man times 10. The hell are you doing? That doesn't make any sense going back and forth. If you don't want him and you don't plan on paying him, this isn't complicated. Trade him.
And the funny part about today, Jerry getting upset that Micah's like, talking or whatever, making it personal as his eyes, is this wouldn't have happened if Jerry just didn't open his mouth first. Like that's what started this whole problem.
Facts.
Like you could have continued to negotiate the contract, but you were just randomly deciding to say you're hesitant to extend them due to injury concerns and airing that out to the media and really just making everything a million times worse is what started this whole thing.
I think Kyle just nailed it. Jerry is the star and he wants everybody to bow down to him. And he's used to that pretty much going that way. And here you have this 26, 27-year-old man that's saying like, I'm a grown-ass man too, and I'm putting in work. I have value. What's the holdup on giving me at least the market value, which I'm worth? If Cleveland can take care of their guy, if the Steelers can take care of their guy, what is the holdup with him when he's actually younger than both of them?
And I completely agree with that. It's so stupid that we're still talking about this. The Micah deal should have been, like Cottrell said, it should have been done a year ago. There are some guys where you clearly just want to keep them around. When you have a top tier edge rusher that's in only 26 years old, you're going to want to keep him around for the foreseeable future. So just get the deal done early. That way you're only paying them, last year, what, 34, 35 million? And now you waited, and now the price is up to 41 million this year. Like, that's just on Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. They should have known the market was going to rise in the next year.
Right. And bite the bullet. Like, you gave Dak 60 million. And I'm not killing Dak. Dak got 60 million. And I think Dak's a good quarterback. But if we're ranking Dak as a quarterback compared to what Micah is and what he does, Micah's better at his job and more impactful at his job than Dak is. What's the holdup on giving Micah his value?
Hey, they held up giving Dak his money too and screwed himself there. Like, that's another deal they should have gotten done a year earlier, but instead they literally waited till like the opening night of the season last year to get that deal done, even though you're just sitting there like, dude, Dak's your guy. Just extend him early, bite the bullet, because the longer you wait, the more that money's going to go up. And
right,
they just got to get some guys in there that have a forward vision of the future and don't just react.
I think Jerry Jones enjoys this. He's angry on one hand, but on the other hand, all the media attention, the fact that every other day the Michael Parsons, Jerry Jones back and forth is one of the lead stories. I think he lives for this. Any way that he can prop up his brand, any way that he can draw attention, not to his franchise, but to himself, Jerry Jones is living his best life because he's featured every day, leading off most sports networks.
Yeah, I feel like this might be another one where they figure it out like opening week of the season, or maybe after. If Micah Parsons sits out, once Jerry watches his team like fail to stop the Eagles just running halfback dive over and over and over again, like it's really not going to last long. Like without Micah Parsons, there's going to be a problem getting pressure on pressure on quarterbacks as is, but also you're taking away your best run defender too. So teams can just keep you off balance all game because they can just run the ball down your throat and set up that play action whenever they want.
The delay thing, though, has a domino effect. Let's say you suddenly get the contract done right before opening day. Micah Parsons is not in football shape. He's been walking around in pads, but he's not been participating in anything. He's not in football shape. So when is he going to be ready to actually participate? Because if you throw him in there right away without being in football shape, what you're going to end up with is some kind of soft toe injury or a torn ankle or a knee sprain. Like I hate the way these things play out because the player gets their money. They're not ready to go, and the team throws them out there, and they end up being injured. Before you know it, is one of these lost seasons where the player misses the bulk of the season.
No, and that's fair enough. And then we'd have to listen to Jerry Jones going, "See, I told you so." Like, shut up, Jerry.
Right. That's true too.
That might be the worst thing to ever happen. Jerry in front of a microphone is like an NBA player in front of Taylor Rooks.
That's true. That is 100% true. Yeah. His eyes light up when a microphone comes towards him. And it doesn't matter what the question is or what context the conversation goes. He's in his element.
See, there was a report that the hang up on Hendrickson is on the guaranteed money. You know what? That's fair. That's what I figured, because I feel like that's the only way that this deal isn't done already. Like, I feel like the Bengals are pulling the old, "Hey, we're gonna give you like 150 million," and then try to pull up, but only like 30 of it's guaranteed. Like, okay, Cincy, that's not gonna work. Like,
right. And I'm guessing if I'm Hendrickson, I'm looking for 50 million guaranteed, right?
yeah, I'd say like probably like 50 or at least probably 60, get a good payday in the next 2 years, some slight payout the year after, and then you can, go revisit the negotiation table if, 3 years from now. I could see Hendrickson getting traded to the Chargers or Jets, maybe Detroit. Hey, you know what?
I think Detroit would take him if they, depending on what the ask is. Yeah, they would absolutely go get him.
Hey, you know what? Packers also have like 30 million in cap space this year. I'm just saying.
You wouldn't mind, right? You wouldn't mind.
No, I wouldn't either. No, I would definitely love for us to inquire about Micah, at least see what the asking price is, because I would pay a hefty price to get Micah Parsons. He is that good.
I would overpay to get Micah Parsons. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one of them things where they go like Mo on the back end of that contract. Is it going to be that good? And my mindset is, if Micah Parsons comes to my franchise and within a couple of years he helps me win 1 or 2 Super Bowls, that's money well spent. I don't care how the contract looks on the back end. If he has that type of impact, money well spent.
To be fair, I might say some crazy things too if Tyler Rooks is interviewing me. Like, I just need her to be like the main like sideline reporter for like the NBA finals. And because I know at that point we're getting the best finals of all time. It's just going to be everybody like crap talking each other and motivating each other. Just we're going to get some crazy sound bites. Like I would just love to see it because her and the players are always the funniest things ever.
You know what? It's funny. We were gonna getting ready to do today's show, and we were in agreement. We didn't really get to have a long conversation, but I was thinking about crazy sports takes, like the ones that didn't age well. And someone brought this one up to me, and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? No one ever killed Skip Bayless for this take. I want to see if you remember it. When Johnny Manziel was drafted, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if anybody in the chat remembers this. Cottrell might, because Cottrell's a Cleveland guy. Skip Bayless said Johnny Manziel is going to be so good, he's going to make everybody forget about LeBron James. He's going to have that kind of impact. He guaranteed it. Obviously, that didn't end well. You know, I'm just saying. I some of those takes that you get from these people, they're just so over the top. Do you remember back in the day when Max Kellerman was on ESPN and they asked the question, and it was even to ask the question, I thought it was insane, but they were being prisoner of the moment. The Raptors had just won the title, and they asked the question, was Kawhi more clutch than Kobe? And the crazy part was the question was asked, and with no hesitation, Max Kellerman goes, yes.
I think one of my favorites, too, from Skip, and I think everybody remembers this just because it is so iconic. We're talking about Ben Simmons, the old, hey, LeBron, we're good. We have Ben Simmons. That had me rolling.
I remember that one too. Like some of the insane takes that these guys don't get called out on. Come on, man. Come on. Kellerman's got a lot of them, though, by the way. A lot of them.
Okay, you know what, Cottrell? That is just the greatest take of all time, to be fair. Fate of the universe.
Oh, my God.
I want Iguodala.
Cottrell, that's a great one. That too was Max Kellerman. He said, fate of the universe, something like the aliens have the laser pointed at Earth or whatever, and he wants Iguodala to take the shot.
That was so funny when Iggy came on the show like a week later and they played that clip for him, and they're like, "What's your reaction, Iggy?" And he just goes, "He's crazy." Iggy's like, "I want that shot." Like he's crazy. Nope.
Max, come on, man. Of course you want Steph to take that shot. Don't be crazy.
It's so funny because people are like, "Oh, it's not crazy to see him hit the shot." I'm like, did you realize that he only hit the shot because Steph is getting like almost triple teamed over on the wing?
Right. He's wide. Did we not forget the part where Iguodala is wide open?
Like he was wide open for a reason.
Facts. And I'm not hating on Iggy, by the way, who I think was a clutch. I don't know. I think he's more than a role player, but was a clutch player in his own right. But fate of the universe? I want Steph Curry shooting the ball. I can name a lot of people I'd want shooting the ball over Iggy, and it's no disrespect, but you know what I mean? Like fate of the universe, man. Like, yeah, no disrespect, Iggy, but you're not in my top 10 of guys I want taking that shot for the fate of the universe.
No, fair. I think one of my other favorite ones, just because it got if the aliens have a death beam, if the Earth give me a random off-season Ben Simmons workout.
I think when the aliens see that Ben Simmons workout, they're gonna be as confused as the rest of us. Like, I don't know what that means.
They're gonna think that Ben Simmons is like the greatest player of all time. Then they're gonna watch an actual game and be like, "Wait, this isn't the guy I saw in the summer. What is happening?" Nah, off-season workout videos have to be the greatest thing ever. Like, I'm sorry, because that's where you'll watch like Andre Drummond practicing corner threes, and Mitchell Robinson and Rudy Gobert working on their 3-point shot, and it's like, in my head, all I hear is Patrick Ewing going, "Do you work on that shot?" And I'm just like, guys, stick with what you know at this point.
Or Hoodie Mello. Hoodie Mello is like 50% from three. Hoodie Mello is when he's working out in the offseason. And Mello was a terrific shooter, but he never shot that well in the game. But Hoodie Mello, he didn't miss.
Say, David has questioned what is y'all takes on Anthony Richardson not being the starting quarterback for the Colts. You know what? I'll let you start with this one, Mo. What do you think about AR going to the bench for Daniel Jones?
Look, I just think that it marks the end of our AR playing unless Daniel Jones gets injured. I think the best thing that could happen to Anthony Richardson is he's either traded or released and he goes to a franchise. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't he still a young man? What is he, 21, 22?
Oh, yeah, he's 22.
Right. That will do with him what he should be done to begin with. He's a project. He's a freakish athlete, but he's a project. He needs to go somewhere with a franchise who has a veteran quarterback that's entrenched, that he can learn his trade and feel no pressure and sit for a year or two. I think Anthony Richardson is not a finished product. I do. But I think that the right franchise can coach him up and invest more time in him. Indy never did that. Steichen, Ballard, they set him up for failure. You can't draft a guy that everybody knows a project and then turn around and go, we're going to start him day one, thinking that he's ready. Like, there are nuances in football that clearly Richardson does not recognize when defenses switch. He can't see the safety walking up, which you can. Like, you're supposed to be able to call out the protections to recognize when they're coming or if it's a zero. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that because he doesn't know the nuances of the game. I just feel like he was set up for failure. And I think a better organization that has stronger culture, has a stronger coaching staff, has the time to work with him, will bring out the best version of Anthony Richardson. And by no means am I saying he's going to be a franchise quarterback. What I am saying is a better organization will give him his best chance to get better and become a legitimate quarterback.
And it's one of those things too, right? People are kind of talking about, well, he's a young quarterback. He should be getting the reps. You got to develop him. And I think the problem with that as well is I think people sometimes forget that, like, you have to develop more than the quarterback. Like, you have wide receivers and tight ends you want to develop too. And if you're not going to develop Anthony Richardson properly, and like last year, he only completed 38% of his passes to open receivers, 7 or more yards down the field. Like, if that's, you can't put him out there if that's what's going to happen, because you still have to get the ball to your playmakers. You got to see what you have, and Pierce and Mitchell and all these young, Tyler Warren. You want to develop him too, so it's one of those things where I think it's the right call, ironically, and I think the next step should just be move on from Anthony Richardson and let's just go get our franchise quarterback next year after we inevitably win, 4 games, which is unfortunate because at the end of the day, I think the Colts have a really actually good roster. But
I agree. I think they have one of the better offensive lines in football. I think Jonathan Taylor is still one of the top 5 backs in football. His problem is he's been getting abused the last couple of seasons because they've had horrible quarterback play, and most defenses walk into every game against the Colts already starting out with 8 or 9 men in the box.
Say Quentin Nelson is tired of it. No, and that's fair too. I think sometimes, it's hard to underrate the value of just having consistency at the quarterback position. And then, Quentin Nelson definitely knows that. And the Colts are like the poster childs of just not having consistency there. It's
right
going from, Matt Ryan to Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Anthony Richardson to Gardner Minshew to Daniel Jones. Like, poor guy's just having a new quarterback back there every year. And when you're looking at this roster, you're like, if we had competent quarterback play, we can compete. And the Colts just haven't been able to provide that because they're just not investing into the quarterback position properly.
Right. And to be fair, I think on yesterday's show, the NFL Genius Gene pointed out that one of Daniel Jones' failings, even coming into the pros, was that he processes plays too slow. And so they said, does anybody process plays slower than Daniel Jones? Yes, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson processes plays worse than Daniel Jones because Anthony Richardson is the kind of guy that he's got to see the receiver open to throw the ball. He can't throw the receiver open. He's one of those guys. And if you have to be one of those guys, that means you're holding the ball a beat too long. You're going to take a lot more hits. You're going to turn the ball over a lot more. Again, I'm not killing him because he's a 22-year-old kid. I just think that the best thing that can happen to the Colts, to your point, and to Anthony Richardson, Brett, is they part company. That's all. The Colts have Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones might be able to be a placeholder until they can get a franchise quarterback. And the funny thing is, they're not asking Daniel Jones to look like a superstar quarterback. They're asking him to be a game manager. Like, we don't need you to win the game. Not with our defense, not with our offensive line and our run game. We just need you not to lose the game. And I think if you look at that division, I don't think the Colts are going to be world beaters, but I think they'll win. I think they'll win 7 or 8 games. Like, I don't think they'll be an embarrassment.
And that's fair enough. It's just going to be really funny. I think the most Colts thing that could very well happen this year, and this would be funny. I'm just waiting for somehow Daniel Jones to put together like the most competent season we've seen in years and lead this team to just enough wins so they're barely missing the playoff picture, but not enough, losses to get that number 1 pick. Like, that just feels like what's going to happen this year is Daniel Jones is going to lead this team right into purgatory, and we're all going to be like, yeah, I saw that coming.
Or worse, Chris Ballard is going to look at Daniel Jones having a solid enough year to where Chris Ballard is going to go, we've got our franchise quarterback. It's Daniel Jones. And he's going to give Daniel Jones another big contract. Look, Chris Ballard and his staff has failed the Indianapolis Colts. They have. And I don't know. Look, he probably sold the former owner, obviously, Jimmy, what's his last name? Irsay. I think he sold him on what Richardson looked like at the combine, which, by the way, there's a lot of guys that are combine babies. Richardson is an athletic freak. I don't think nobody would dispute that. That doesn't mean you can be a comparable quarterback. Irsay, who obviously passed away, rest in peace. I think he's the kind of owner that was down for the gamble. Chris Ballard sold him on it. He thought it was a good idea. I also think Irsay was in the room when they were like, we should probably sit this kid for a couple of years because he's not ready. Irsay strikes me as the kind of guy that's like, no. Y'all drafted him 4th. We're not sitting him. He's playing. And I think that's what happened. And they put him out there, and he wasn't ready. And I look, I don't want to kill Daniel Jones, but if Daniel Jones can walk into your quarterback room and establish himself as the best quarterback, you don't have a very good quarterback room.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, if Daniel Jones gets a hefty extension off a decent year this year, I think Indianapolis would almost turn into Salem because there would be witch trials and people are coming after Chris Ballard if that happens.
I like they said about Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor might all ask for trades. If you're a running back and you face 8 and 9 man boxes throughout the game, you are taking a beating. There has to be a comparable passing game, at least a threat of the pass. They do have a solid receiving core. Don't forget about Michael Pittman. Like, they have some talent out there. They desperately need. I'm not even talking about Pro Bowl quarterback play, but just comparable quarterback play.
Oh, and they get the most, like, to me, this is the most hilarious matchup that could have happened too. Colts Dolphins week 1.
Oh wow.
The battle of absolute dysfunction, maybe arguably some of the most dysfunctional teams. It's going to be terrific. You know, I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, "Oh, it's Daniel Jones. The Dolphins can walk over him." But listen, I'm just saying that the defense and the run game might be enough to keep them into some of these games, and I think the Colts could very well just end up straight up beating the Dolphins and starting out their season of dysfunction.
I'm not sure you're wrong on that one. I think that I would give the Colts the edge because of what they have on both sides of the ball, and I think that offensive line is so dominant. It would be interesting. Like I said, they have the talent to be in almost every game. I just don't know if their quarterback, who they have at quarterback right now, can help generate enough offense. Like if you're asking me, what do I think the Colts offense in terms of scoring would average this season? With Daniel Jones running the helm, 20 points a game, 21 points a game, which isn't god awful. It's not great, but if they can score 21 points a game and that defense is as good as advertised, they will be in most games this year.
No, that's fair enough. Hey, and I'm definitely looking forward to the football season, Mo. I know it's gonna be a lot of fun. Also, make sure if you guys are interested, the N1 podcast is having a fantasy football league, and I'm trying to tweak it so it'll be a lot of fun. Making it so big plays are worth a lot, but balancing that out to also interceptions are going to be worth more, and it's going to be a great time. So if you're interested, I'll put the link to join on the N1 page. So
that'll be
just
fun.
Want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and look, guys, make sure you check us out tonight. We are finishing up our GOATs of different franchises, which is going to be fun. And we just talked about something that we might get into tonight. So I'll just put it out there for the chat to think about. So this is for Jory, Kyle, Damien, everybody that's in the chat. Take everybody that's in the NBA right now, and we're going to put everybody in their prime. So now it's prime LeBron, prime Steph, prime Joker, who, by the way, is in his prime right now. We're throw in SGA, throw in Kawhi, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and give me the 10 best players in the NBA right now with everybody in their prime.
I'm trying to think of if we did through everybody in their prime, what team becomes the favorite to win it all of a sudden.
Well, if LeBron's still really good now, but if it's prime LeBron with Luka, that's interesting because that's an even more athletic, ferocious LeBron on both ends of the floor. I'm not trying to say the Lakers would be the favorite, but I would say a prime LeBron with Luka is a scary team.
Say, because other teams that would be fun. This is where a team like the Clippers all of a sudden become a lot of fun because they're really old, but they do have talent. And all of a sudden we're getting prime Harden, Kawhi, Brook Lopez.
Think about this, chat. Suddenly, Kawhi's in his prime. Harden's in his prime. Chris Paul's on the Clippers now. He's in his prime. You got 3 Hall of Famers in their prime. Throw in a Brook Lopez in his prime. Like, suddenly the Clippers, if they don't go to the finals, something's wrong.
Oh, hey, you know what? The Bucks get, at least the Bucks will get prime Kuzma, so there's that.
There's a prime Kuzma. There's a prime Kuzma.
Get 2020 Lakers Kuzma. Yes.
You got to be a lot better off trading and getting Middleton back and having prime Middleton. That makes sense to me. But no, I think, chat, it is going to be a fun conversation because Brett just brought it up. If everybody's in their prime, which teams suddenly get a lot better? Like, if everybody's in their prime, look at the Blazers right now. In their prime, you'd have one of the best backcourts in basketball, Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday, and they're in their prime to go with those young dudes. That's how good would they be? You got a prime Anthony Davis and a prime Kyrie Irving. You know what I'm saying? Certainly going along with the number one pick in the draft. How good would Dallas be?
Yeah, and it's always that's always fun to think about. And
Cooper Flag and company. Woo.
say we some teams would get the prime version of their players, and it just wouldn't make a difference. And those would be the fun teams to watch. Like
the Hornets.
Yeah, or even a team like the Kings, Mo. Like, yeah, you get prime Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis, and you're just like, so you just went from a play-in team to a play-in team.
Right.
Got it.
The funny thing is their numbers would be a little bit better, but the team's record would be the same. That's what's crazy. How much better would Utah be with their guys in their prime? Not very good. Nothing changes. Nothing changes.
I'll say, I know I've always sometimes I'll randomly think about this same question, but with like some all-time teams, like who would be some of the better all-time teams if everybody was in their prime?
Wow. And
the first team that for some reason always comes to mind to me is the 2013 Spurs. Just because I'm always remembering, like, oh yeah, that team had, the usual suspects of Parker, Manu, Timmy, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard. And then I always forget, like, oh, that team had Tracy McGrady on their bench. So give me a prime T-Mac on that team along with everybody else in their prime. And that's like an insane, like, top six. And also you get, like, prime Boris Diaw, who
I think that team suddenly becomes the way Golden State was with KD. T-Mac is essentially, in a lot of ways, Kevin Durant. He's more athletic than Durant, but in other ways, there's some similarities there. But remember, like you said, suddenly Tim Duncan's 24-25 again. Tony Parker's 25. Ginobili's 25. Diaw was nice when he was young and he was with the Suns. You're getting the best version of him, and you throw in T-Mac in his prime. I would question who's beating that team.
You know who actually might be the ultimate team in this one? Well, the 2018 Cavs, because they had all the names.
Wait a minute, you're talking about the Cavs team that had D Wade, Derrick Rose. Oh yeah, look, if you just get prime Wade and LeBron together, it's a problem for anybody. But you're throwing in a prime Derrick Rose. Who else was on there? Because I don't want to miss Isaiah Thomas is suddenly healthy again and just taking people off the dribble, killing people. You're getting the best version of Jay Crowder. You're getting the best version of even the role players. J.R. Smith is young and dunking on people. Like that team. Don't forget, Kevin Love is all NBA again, right? I don't know how you beat that team. I think your answer is better than my answer. The Spurs team would be really, really good, but the 2018 Cavaliers, if everybody's in their prime, they're just buzzsawing through the league.
You know what? I don't even know if even like I think even like the Golden State Warriors, if that entire team was in their prime, would be hard pressed to stop the Cavs team because that team also had Darren Williams and Kyle Korver.
Right. And they're in their primes. And suddenly, and the crazy part is take the Steph KD Warriors and try to match them up, because Wade, what he could do with his athleticism, and Derrick Rose, that's a whole nother dynamic. Like, no, I don't even think that Golden State team could beat them. I think they might make it an interesting series, but they're not winning.
No, absolutely. Say we wouldn't have gotten LeBron's "we need a playmaker" speech for sure. Because your third string point guard at that point is arguably like almost like is like 2017 Isaiah Thomas. Because, like, I think I can make an argument that Jazz Darren Williams was better than him. And you can start MVP D Rose.
Jazz Darren Williams was, if you don't remember him, because I know it's been a minute, chat, but if you don't remember Darren Williams, just go punch in Darren Williams in YouTube. Darren Williams in his prime with the Utah Jazz was a beast. He had one of the meanest crossovers in NBA history.
Yeah, there were legitimate conversations as who is the best point guard in the league, Chris Paul or Darren Williams. Like, that's how nasty Darren Williams was in Utah.
He was nasty. I mean, he was a beast. Man, what a waste. What a waste. You had to be kind of like a head case, though, if you actually got on Jerry Sloan's nerves to the point where Jerry Sloan was like, I'm done coaching.
Yeah, say that was apparently kind of his biggest pitfall is he was a head case, and obviously they shipped him off to Brooklyn. Jerry Sloan retired, so
you know what? You just gave me another topic for tonight's N1 chat. If you guys join us, and we hope you do join us on N1, can you name me a team with everybody in their prime that could beat the 2018 Cavs?
No, you know what? That's going to be quite the challenge. I definitely have to think long and hard about that. The 2021 Lakers? Nah, that team would get smoked, but
they get smoked. Smoked. Nobody mentioned the Chicago Bulls because they're getting smoked.
I would say I don't know if there's any iteration of those Bulls teams that would actually even come close to that Cavs team.
Like, they wouldn't. They would get nuked. There's way too much offensive diversity.
The biggest argument you can go is, well, you can like go 97, I guess, because then you can add prime Robert Parrish, but Robert Parrish isn't closing that gap.
I don't think so. Not the Chief. I don't think so. Maybe an entertaining series somewhat. I still think the 2018 Cavs will win it in 6. That's an amazing team. And it's not just for the big names at the top. You hit on the fact that Darren Williams is on your bench. And like I said, now you're getting prime D Will with prime Kyle Korver as a catch and shoot guy to go along with all those other guys we name who can create for themselves and others. How do you stop that?
Pretty much pray that they miss.
I mean, you're at your mercy. You're talking about Dwayne Wade, 2006, 2008 Dwayne Wade level. Like, what are you doing with that kind of athleticism? LeBron, who I think is it 2012 or 2013, is like almost like a cyborg. You're not slowing that guy down. Like peak LeBron James, we're giving everybody in their prime. I just think the 2018 Cavs, with everybody in their prime, they're going to win like 6 titles in a row, maybe 7. The only way they lose is because money becomes an issue because you can't pay everybody.
No, that's fair. You got like 7 max guys on that team.
Right.
You're going to have like a $2 billion luxury tax bill if you try to keep everybody. But yeah, say Mo, we our time is we reached our hour. Actually, we went a little bit over, but you know what? That's okay. That was a ton of fun.
For sure.
Damien forgot Derrick Rose was on the Cavs.
Facts.
Anything you want to add before we get up and out of here?
No, thank you guys in the chat. We appreciate you guys, your energy and your responses. It keeps us going. Thank everybody for joining us from whatever platform you're joining us on. Make sure you check out all the great content that we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you guys. And make sure to check Brett and I out on N1 tonight.
Absolutely. We thank you guys for joining us, and we'll hopefully catch you up later tonight.